Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out over at patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. You can also find this show in podcast form wherever you get your podcast. Just search Packers Total Access or Packer Fan Total Access. Moving forward, we will have our own network that we're going to be kind of broadcasting on there in terms of the podcast. I want to thank PackerNet and everything that's happened over there. Everybody, all the listeners, the viewers that obviously we've got to know. Just an awesome bunch of people there in the comments constantly, and obviously connecting on social media and all of that good stuff. So been a good run. It's time for us to kind of break off and do our own thing here at PTA. So just want to let everybody know about that. And what we got on tap today, as we are live on X, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, we are going to dive into a little bit of Aaron Jones talk.
Who?
Could Aaron Jones be returning to Green Bay, man? That would be a wild plot twist. We'll talk about what we mean by that. We'll also hit on the offensive line combine updates as they are currently working in right now. I see Billy Scrouth doing the wave drill as we speak. I ain't gonna lie, look a little rough for that Irishman. He slipped a little bit, but we'll get into all the combine numbers. We'll talk about the updated RASs, which obviously Math Bomb and them guys, they are working overtime over there, getting the information out in real time. So we'll talk about some of that. And then we're going to fall back and talk about quarterback, running back, wide receiver doing bench press on the backside of this show. Just want to take a quick glimpse into that because there was a receiver, if I remember correctly, might have been Denzel Burks, throwing up some reps on the bench, which is really interesting. So before we get into everything, if y'all would do that YouTube stuff for me, we greatly appreciate it. If you take a second, smash that like button, click subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. If this is your first time tuning in to PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your day. We are not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, hit subscribe, click the bell icon for us as well. Tim, how you doing, big dog?
Doing good. Sorry, I was distracted there. Bo Stevens, Iowa, baby. Looks pretty good in the wave drill.
I'll tell you, man, Twitter just about broke when our boy Jennings Dunker hit the field earlier with those glowing red locks. Man, did you see Twitter go crazy? Everybody was, this is a Packer. This guy's
I was getting a delay when I was trying to refresh. I think they were overloading the system.
Right. Exactly. All right, man, let's get into it. Let's talk a little Aaron Jones here, guys. Not sure if y'all seen this or not, but this is really interesting. So obviously Aaron Jones spent what's the last couple years, right, Tim, with the Minnesota Vikings?
Yep.
And Adam Schefter tweeted this out just a little while ago. He said, sources, Vikings have informed running back Aaron Jones and defensive tackle Javon Hargrave that barring a trade, they will be released at the start of the league year this month. Aaron Jones' release will save the Vikings $7.7 million against the cap and Hargrave's $10.9 million. So it sounds like barring anyone popping up and saying, hey, we want to trade a draft pick for an aging veteran running back who has had a few injury problems, I think we would all agree. And it's not because Aaron Jones is soft. Aaron Jones runs hard, man. That dude he knows one speed. It's so rare that you see a guy of his size that's willing to go full speed in the A-gap, ready to make a cut out the backside, knowing you might get your clock clean by a 330-pound defensive tackle, right? So when you run hard like that, obviously, it's kind of like Pacheco we talked about. He's dealing with some issues there with the injuries, right? The way you run like that, it's obviously the injuries are going to pile up. But Aaron Jones here, Tim, I'm curious to get your take, man. Because, again, we talked about Emmanuel Wilson pretty much said goodbye to Green Bay, essentially, on that IG Live where he's like, hey, man, I'm going to miss Green Bay. Is there a chance he comes back at the right price? Possibly. But if he's out the door, and we were talking about Damian Martinez and Chris Brooks potentially coming back, and, of course, hopefully Marshawn Lloyd's going to be healthy, is there room in this locker room for a minimum contract for Aaron Jones to come finish up in Green Bay, man? What do you think?
You want me to answer with my football brain or with my Green Bay Packer fan heart?
I would rather you answer with your heart, to be honest with you.
Well, hell yeah, there's room for AJ33 back in Green Bay. Are you kidding me?
Right.
1 year, $3 million, fully guaranteed. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hey, I remember it hasn't been that long since, we had that 17 minutes of Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones being on the same team when we got excited before everything ended up the way it did with Jonesy going to the Vikings. But, I mean, you're talking about a guy that, we all hope in our heart of hearts would come back to Green Bay someday and sign that one-day contract, retire as a Green Bay Packer. Here's an opportunity to maybe bring him into the fold on a 1 year. If he can play a little bit of football for us, kind of round out, maybe be a 1 year stopgap in that running back room. Maybe we can free up a draft spot and not have to take a running back in this year's draft. Maybe we can, grab another corner or grab a, O-line or D lineman or something like that. I'm not opposed to it at all. Now my football brain's saying, yeah, like we said, right? What would the trade market really be? So I'm assuming there will be a release for him. But my heart of hearts, man, I would love to see Aaron Jones a Green Bay Packer, even if for one more season, right?
Yeah. And if we're talking about where he ranks, he is actually sitting just slightly ahead of where Emmanuel Wilson finished last year in terms of PFF grade. 63.7 was Emmanuel Wilson. Aaron Jones, 65. Aaron Jones played 366 snaps. E. Wilson played 340.
Yep.
So really what it comes down to is probably kind of take on that role unless Marshawn Lloyd takes a huge step forward. And I just love the idea of having somebody like Aaron Jones on a very small contract playing behind those guys. And now you've got another veteran in the room. We talk about this roster needs to get older. Now, I don't think running back's the position you specifically need to do that, intentionally. But of course you're going to get some leadership skills there, right?
I agree. We talked about Calais Campbell, on the other side of the ball, right? Hey, aging veteran, but my goodness, proven, skill set, proven leader. Bobby Wagner was a name we mentioned, guys that have found the fountain of youth. Jonesy for a guy who's been banged up because, like you said, he's a hard runner. He's dealt with a lot, but he always leaves it all out there. I think in the same breath, you got to consider, bringing a guy like this in again, if it's something that makes sense. I'm not saying sell the farm to get Aaron Jones back in Green Bay, but if you had an opportunity, to do something that's team friendly and, gives Jonesy another year in the NFL to finish out his career and maybe help this team again, I'm all for it. He's familiar with the system. He's played under Matt LaFleur. We mess around and put an O-line in front of him. We could you can make some noise this year. That's all I'm saying, right? Load up, do what you can. Again, don't bet the farm on it, but I'd love to see Aaron Jones back in Green Bay, man. I really would.
I was trying to see too, speed wise. I talked last year that Jordan Mason for the Vikings, he was the better running back. It just seemed like he had kind of, he had passed up Aaron Jones on that depth chart, and it just felt like he was, obviously just playing better football than an aging Aaron Jones. However, I'm curious to know if he lost a step or not, right? I go over to next gen stats. He actually had 12 runs of 10 yards or more. Okay, so 12 explosive runs. He broke 15 miles per hour on 16 different runs, right? He didn't break 20 miles per hour, but neither did Jordan Mason. Nobody else in that running back room for the Vikings did as well. So again, 16 runs where Aaron Jones broke 15 miles per hour. I'm going to hop over to Green Bay's real quick and just see if anybody broke 20 miles per hour for us in a running back room, and they did not. So, it doesn't seem like he's lost so much of a step that he wouldn't warrant being the third or fourth back for the right price, of course, right? And again, this is assuming that a stud running back Mike Washington doesn't fall right in our lap, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah. So.
I agree. And when you talk about catching the football out of the backfield, you can do a lot worse than Aaron Jones, man. On those swing passes, you're talking about as a receiving threat, a guy that you can flex out into the slot once in a while. I'm all for it, man.
Yeah. It's an interesting conversation to have, man. Let's see what the chat's saying. Chris Ann says, bring him back. Mitchell's mommy said, I would bring Jonesy home. There you go. So we got two on board here, right? J. Cole says, no, I don't think Aaron Jones should come back. All right. So he's off the idea there.
How dare you?
Cannonball John says, yes, pound the rock, give JJ a rest. He will want to come. Locker room presence. I agree with the locker room presence, man. That's the best guy around. That's the type of leadership that you lost. Now, you picked up a great leader in Josh Jacobs. Nobody's denying that. But what if you had two of those guys, right, in the running back room? Nothing wrong with that. Coach Lim, give AJ a secondary role in the running back room. I could see it. We need a receiving back. Makes all the sense in the world, right? And listen, Aaron Jones is damn good at picking up the pass blocking, Tim. There's no doubt about that. We've seen that time and time again. I mean, he forced Micah Parsons off the field for the Cowboys in that playoff game when he stuck him right in the chest, right?
And it's that technique in FBI, right? We know Jones isn't this like gigantic monster truck of a running back, but man, he knows how to lay that block. He knows how to time that block and get there and make an impact, whether he's touching the football or, like you said, picking up pass pro, in a blocking role. So I'm all for it.
Definitely. Cannonball John says 1 year for Aaron Jones. I'd be all about it. H.E. Solder says, I have never seen a running back that was so good as Jones at getting skinny/small through the hole. It's so true. And then when he came out the backside, he was already looking he would run fearlessly through that gap, and his eyes were already 10 yards downfield setting up the next cut, and it's kind of like a punt returner, Tim. It takes a different kind of cat to stare straight up in the air while 8 or 9 guys are running full speed, ready to take your head off, and you got to catch a ball, then get your eyes down and look to make somebody move or make somebody miss. Very, very similar with a smaller stature back like that, man. So it'd be fun, man. It'd be fun to get him back for sure. As Coach Lynn says, though, power run game, not his style. We have shifted the scheme, right? We're more duo now, right? More of a duo inside zone look as opposed to that stretch. But if you do decide to go back to the stretch and Marshawn Lloyd's healthy, what if Marshawn Lloyd and Aaron Jones outside zone helping come back to the duo approach when Josh Jacobs is in the game? Maybe you can get a little bit of a mix and match there, because I feel like that plays more of a role with the lack of a running game last year, Tim, or the offensive line looks so bad at run blocking. We got away from running the ball outside. And now this defense they're able to really key in, other than the jet sweeps. It's essentially we don't have to worry about any kind of outside zone right now with Green Bay. But if they put somebody in motion, be ready to set the edge on the motion side, the cheat side, in case that's a jet sweep. Other than that, everybody key in inside the tackles,
Yeah, no, that's true. Coach Len with a great point. Not really his, cup of tea, not really his style. But I think about the play action, though, right? Like, who do you want back there on the play action, picking up that blindside block or that chip? I trust Aaron Jones in that role for sure. So, it's debatable. And I think, honestly, like, in all seriousness, this is probably not going to happen, right? But, we can dream all we want.
Right. J. Cole says Josh Jacobs needs a running mate for sure. I don't think it's Jones. Maybe 2 years ago, yes, but now, no. And that's why I went to the next gen stats here, just to kind of look and see, what he did last year. And again, he graded out higher than Emmanuel Wilson in terms of PFF. And then again, if I hop back over to the Minnesota Vikings side here, his stats last year, Aaron Jones averaged 4.2 yards per carry. So now the rushing yards over expected weren't great. Rushing yards over expected per attempt was pretty much even. It was a negative 0.1, so about as close as you can get there, right?
How did we get? What did we get on games? How many games did he play?
It's showing he played in 12 games, Tim.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Yeah, not bad.
We're not talking about 5 or 6 or 7. I mean, 12 games. That's a decent sample as you're aging as a veteran, right?
Yeah, and in J. Cole's defense, you can't expect Aaron Jones to play like he did last year, this year, right? At some point, it's going to continue to drop off. It's not like, okay, he had a drop off, now it stops dropping off until he retires, right? So I think Jay makes a great point in terms of, how that may or may not work out.
I agree. The whole premise of that, right? Would have been a great running mate with Josh Jacobs maybe a year or two ago. You're right. I mean, to say that right now with any kind of conviction might be a little bit over the top, right?
Yeah. To quote Ricky Bobby, I'm too drunk to taste this chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? J. Cole says, how is the relationship between Jones and Goot? That's a great question, because Jonesy was not happy with that at all. Especially after Goody came out and said he's the heart and soul of this team. And then
we'd love to have you back. And then bye, Felicia. Yeah.
And then there was just $1 million. It sounds like that the Vikings ended up giving him more.
Right.
And
here I am 2 years later saying, give him $1.5 million, $3 million guaranteed, bring him back. Yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Don't know.
All right. If you guys are watching this back later, let us know in the comments. How do you feel about Aaron Jones potentially coming back to Green Bay? We know it's a long shot. Nobody here is saying it's going to happen. I'm just curious to know how the fans feel. Would you like Jonesy back in Green Bay at the right price? Let us know in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon for us as well. All right, Tim, let's move on to some combine talk. What do you think, man? Let's get into it. Offensive line out there doing their thing right now. We're going to refresh this one more time, and the site is really lagging. You got a bunch of data coming in now. I love it, man. Love it. So let's talk O-lineman. Let's start with the 40-yard dash. People are going to go, I could care less about the 40-yard dash. I understand. I get it. One thing that the 40-yard dash does is, first of all, the 10-yard split. If you're playing duo, you want to know how quick these guys can get off the ball and downfield. Obviously, duo is double vertical power. So double team at the point of attack. Quick feet, second level, sell off the backer, or dig out of safety, right, on those duo runs. So the 40 time matters in that regard with the 10-yard split aspect of the 40. Hopefully, you're not having to worry about a tight end running 40 yards because he's probably chasing a pick six if that happens, right? So you don't want to get caught in too many situations like that. But leading the way here, Logan Jones from Iowa, 4.90 40-yard dash, obviously a center out of Iowa. Spencer Fano, 4.91. He's an offensive tackle out of Utah. Max Ihanachor, I found out it is Chor according to the NFL Network broadcast. So Ihanachor out of Arizona State, 4.91. So he's at the second quickest 40 time. Jalen Farmer from Kentucky, 4.93. Tim, these Kentucky boys, man, boy, I don't know how Coach Stoops gets a job anywhere, man, because he's got a bunch of looked like a bunch of pro athletes playing on a team that they couldn't
figure out how to win a damn ball game though, right?
Crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. So again, Jalen Farmer, 4.93 on the 40. Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle out of Georgia, 4.93. Jager Burton, Kentucky, 4.94. Enrique Cruz, he looked really good in the wave drill just a second ago. Offensive tackle out of Houston, 4.94. Parker Browsford, center out of Alabama, 4.95. Caleb Lomu, 4.99 out of Utah. DJ Campbell cracks the 5 mark there, 5.01. He's a guard out of Texas. Emil Wagner, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame, 5.01 as well. Chase Basantis, 5.02. Dylan Wade, 5.02. Blake Miller, 5.04. They've got him listed as a tackle here. Keelan Rutledge, 5.05. Jude Bowery, 5.08. Alan Heron is, 5.09. Micah Morris, 5.09. Sam Hecht, 5.10. Jake Slaughter, 5.10. You got Carver Willis, 5.11. Austin Barber, 5.12. Demetrius Crownover, 5.14. Brian Parker, 5.14. That's a little surprising for me. He was a tackle, and obviously now he's being projected as a center. That's a rough 40 there, in my opinion. And then Diego Pounds, 5.15. Now, I'm not seeing our boy Jennings Dunker on this list, and I know he ran, Tim, because he was not happy with it. I remember it being like 5.11 or something like that.
Wow.
But not seeing it here for whatever reason. But again, Logan Jones, Spencer Fano, Max Ihanachor, Jalen Farmer, Monroe Freeling, Jagger Burton, Enrique Cruz, those guys all under 4.95. They're a really solid 40-yard dash. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think when you look at O-linemen, right, anybody running a sub-5 on the 40 is you're gonna open up your eyes and kind of pay attention, right? But then when you look, a lot of these guys that are, football players, guys that we really like, Sam Heck, Jake Slaughter, you're over, you're running over a 5 on your 40. I don't think that's the end of the world, so to speak. But, how are you using these 40 times to gauge these players? Like you said, is it about your footwork? Is it about, your get off and your steps and your, agility, these kind of things? Because you're right. If a offensive lineman or a tight end or somebody's sprinting down the field, chances are, the poop has hit the fan already, and it's already a bad situation. So I'm not willing to write anybody off because they ran, over a 5 on the 40 time. And I'm not ready to, jump through the roof excited about someone because they ran a sub 5 40 as an O lineman,
Yeah, I think that's very well said, man. Very well said. So that's just kind of a quick look at the 40. Let's go to the 10-yard split here. Let's see if anything changes with the 10-yard split. Parker Brailsford, 170 leading the way out of Alabama. He is a center. Monroe Freeling, 171 out of Georgia. Spencer Fano, 172 out of Utah. Sam Heck, 173.
See, that's interesting, right? One of the slower 40 times, one of the fastest splits.
Yeah, what's more important? Give me that 10-yard split, right? Max E. Hanachor is a 173. Micah Morris, 173. Enrique Cruz, 174. Caleb Lomu, 174. Jake Slaughter, 174. Jude Bowery, 175. And then Jalen Farmer, 175. So you see Logan Jones was more of the top end speed, was it not? With the 40-yard dash.
Seemed like it.
So that's something to kind of take into consideration there. Blake Miller, 175 for him. The bench press tomorrow is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see what these guys throw up on the 225. That's going to be a lot of fun. So that's just a quick glance, obviously, at the 10-yard split there. And again, the big thing that sticks out to me, like you said there, Tim, is Sam Heck. Sam Heck helping himself a little bit there with the 10-yard split. I think that will perk some interest in him. I was going to take a look at our draft board and see exactly where Sam Heck is fitting real quick, and then we'll dive into the RASs. Anything you want to add here to the 10-yard split conversation, brother?
Yeah, just that correlation, right? It's not just Sam Heck. There's a couple other names there. If you scroll down a little bit, guys that had slower on the end of 40 time, but their split was good. And I think that holds a little bit more value than the overall. Like Jake Slaughter there, I think his second run was probably better than his first. That's the time they're going to keep. But, 1.7 on the split is good. We'll take that all day.
Yeah. And Sam Heck is currently sitting in the 130 spot for us. So let's say that holds true. His score is a 113.5, which would say he's more than worth the 120th pick according to our grading system. The other thing about Sam Heck, he dominated during the Senior Bowl week. So we got a 5-point bonus there. So if Sam Heck ends up with a strong RAS, obviously he's going to move up our board again. That's somebody in that 120 range potentially, that might be on the Packers' radar. That would be really, really interesting.
I agree. He could even go higher too, right? He's kind of one of those guys. It's like, hopefully he's there, but I could see him, going early second too. You never know.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the vertical. Obviously, guys, the vertical, what's really important here, the vertical and the broad, you take those two together, and that's called your explosion grade, okay? And that's just showing how explosive players are from the start of the snap, off the ball, that drive off the ball, and also your explosion when you're driving through a block as well, right? It's just how much explosion that you can generate from a stopping, from a stopping start, if that makes sense. All right. Caleb Tiernan, 35.5 inches, offensive tackle out of Northwestern. Enrique Cruz has helped himself a lot, man. 35 inches on the vertical there. Emmanuel Pregnon, 35 inches, ton of explosion there. Jude Bowery, Jude Bowery, 34.5. Monroe Frilling, 33.5. Evan Biernston, if I'm saying that right. I thought it said
all right by me, man.
I thought it said Bierstan. I was like, oh, he's getting drafted by Green Bay. No doubt about it, bro.
Evan Daddy Sodaston, we'll call him.
32.5 for him. Parker Browsford, 32.5. Jennings Dunker, 32.5. Caleb Lomu, 32.5. Caden Proctor, 32.5. Keelan Rutledge, 32.5. Jake Slaughter, 32.5. So you got a bunch grouped there together, right?
Yep.
I'm eager to see where they're sitting on RASs as they're being updated in real time. So, again, Caleb Tiernan, Enrique Cruz, Emmanuel Pregnon, and Jude Bowery helped themselves there with the vertical jump, showing that explosion. Let's go to the broad. Again, keep that in mind. Usually these cross-check over with the broad jump, right? So Caleb Tiernan, Enrique Cruz, and Emmanuel Pregnon were the leaders. With the vertical, you got Parker Browsford with a 9'10" broad jump, Enrique Cruz with a 9'8", Jude Bowery 9'7", Monroe Frilling 9'7", Max E. Hanachor 9'7", Caleb Lomu 9'5", Blake Miller 9'5", Micah Morris 9'4", Diego Pounds 9'4", and Drew Shelton 9'4" are kind of at the top of the list there. So Parker Browsford's another name, Tim. It seems like he keeps popping up here, right?
Here's a guy.
And of course, we got Emilio coming in.
Here's a guy.
This guy right here.
Okay.
So, how you doing, big dog? What have you been into out there, man?
No, I'm good. I just got back from the store. Had to get stuff for dinner, but no, I had to hop on. Heard draft board talk.
Doing a little grocery shopping, I see.
Got to keep myself fed, protein, all that.
Cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
We've got a place down the road. It's called Babylon. And it's, kind of that Middle Eastern style food, I guess you could say. A lot of pita bread. Oh, man, bro, I can't wait. And also, shout out to the company. I think they're called Ponter. I think that's how you say the name. You can brew your own kegs of beer at home. So your boy just tapped his first keg last night.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Mandy took a sip and she said, that tastes like Newcastle. I said, let's go.
Oh, there you go.
So we'll get that bottled up and shipped out to everybody. We need to do a giveaway. I'll ship a bottle.
There we go. Yeah,
let's go.
It was good though. It was a success. So we're already ordering the next batch and getting ready. We'll keep it in rotation here. So know me too. I get half of that glass down, and I'm in the bed. That's how your boy operates nowadays. So.
Oh, we knew that.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. There's a quick look at some of the offensive line drills. When it comes to quickness, 3-cone, Spencer Fano, 7.34. Spencer Fano is as advertised, right? And we have him as the top tackle in the draft. He's number 9 on our board. Wouldn't be surprised if he ends up a top 5 pick, to be honest with you. He's absolutely dominating. Fernando Carmona, 7.50. Chase Basanta, 7.53. Joshua Braun is a 7.62. Sam Heck, 7.75. So those are kind of the guys leading the way there. It drops off pretty significantly down to Cage Casey at 8.01, and some of these probably aren't in yet as well. But again, Spencer Fano looking good. Sam Hecht is one that we've been looking at here, Emilio. We were talking about him being like 130 on our big board, 114 grade though. That's somebody maybe at 120. You'd be interested in someone like that, you know?
Yep. Yeah, and he's one we've already adjusted just because of, how much we've heard about him. DJ, like I said, was the first one on it. He was the first name mentioned when they talk about centers in the second round. I think that there's probably a good chance he goes second or third, definitely. But making himself some money this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it looks like J. Cole did run that number down for us. Jennings Dunker, unfortunately, ran a 5.19. Not that it's going to, tank his draft stock or anything, but obviously toward the bottom of the list there.
That's his 40?
Yeah, that was his 40 time, yeah.
I'd be more excited to see the 10 split, but yeah. That's tough.
They didn't even list him. They said, let's don't do our boy like that. Let's just keep it off the list there.
That's all right. Yeah. As long as he can run block, I don't give a damn. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. And everybody knows all he got to do is trim 10% of that mullet off. He'll pick up a 1/10 of a second. No problem. You know what I mean?
More aerodynamic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let's hop over now before we wrap up this segment. I want to look at the RASs that are piling up here over at with Math Bomb at you guys can find us just ras.football is where you can get this at. Go show him some love on Twitter as well and everything in between. I had reached out to him last year and said, hey, do you mind if we use your information? He said, absolutely not, man. Have fun with it. That was exactly what he said. So here we are. Now, obviously, we're going to battle through a few ads, but we'll be all right. Let's get to offensive tackles first, and let's see exactly how they're shaping up here in 2026. Monroe Frilling, no surprise at all here. Man, 999 is the early RAS for Monroe Frilling out of Georgia. Again, we had him in the 27 spot going into this process. Probably going to be long gone before the Packers can pick at 52, but he's helped himself a lot. Blake Miller, 994. That's a guy that we have mock drafted several times. 38 on our board. Made a lot of sense if he's sitting there at 52. Don't know if he'll make it that far. Maxi Hanachor, 991 out of Arizona State. He's in the 52 spot on our big board, so there's a chance he might potentially be there. We'll see how the rest of the draft process happens. Caleb Lomu, 988. Enrique Cruz Jr., 984. Spencer Fano, 976. Austin Barber, 975. Jude Bowery, 953. Diego Pounds, 950. Caden Proctor. This is interesting. Caden Proctor, 17th on our board. He's got a 928 score. Anything above 9, it's kind of confirming this guy's a dog, right? If he's that high on that board, you're not going to leapfrog him with any of these other prospects. If your board was already had him ranked in a way that Spencer Fano was that high, or I'm sorry, Caden Proctor was that high, right, Emilio? Like this is something that it's kind of confirming what you've seen on tape, essentially.
No, absolutely. And on our board, he wouldn't be able to jump any other tackles either, even if he got the -5. The only person he couldn't even jump him. Potentially, he could jump. Ione out of Memphis, but he's an interior. But Mayuga is still already above him at the 12th spot. So, yeah, there's top 3 right there. They're pretty much set.
Yeah. And it looks like Bates, hit us with a little information. This is important. He said, looks like a 1-8-3 10-yard split for Dunker.
That's really not bad. I mean, you look at some of the other 10-yard splits. Some of the backers are like 1-4. 1.5-ish. What's 0.3 of a second? I mean, yeah, it's something, but that's not horrible. If it was 2 seconds, all right, maybe we got something to talk about.
Right. And if you're comparing apples to apples, though, he would be dead last on this list.
Oh, yeah.
NFL.com, no doubt. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Amelia. We are kind of splitting hairs there. What about you, Tim? You concerned about that 10-yard split with Jennings Dunker?
Not at all. He might be at the bottom of that list, but he's number 1 in the hairstyle department.
That's all that matters, man. It's all that matters. Travis Burke, 909. Those are your offensive tackles that fell in the nines. Emil Wagner, 892. Boy, he was real close. Maybe he'll finish out strong with the bench press tomorrow. Drew Shelton, 868. Jennings Dunker, 860 so far. That checks the box, right? We always talk about 8+ is what Goody likes. JC Davis, 728. And then you're getting into Garrett DeJorio. It's not delivery, it's DeJorio.
Okay.
674. Carver Willis, 626. Cage Casey, 601. And Alan Heron is a 545. Those are your offensive tackles. Anything you guys want to hit on that before we move on to the interior offensive line? I'm excited about those.
We have DiGiorno at 337, but we have an interior with a guard out of UCLA. He did get the -5, though, at the East-West Shrine game, it looks like. So
Got it.
We'll see where he lands.
Got it. All right. Let's move along now to offensive guards. We got to go quick here. Boy, the time crept up on us. When we get over to the guard position, Micah Morris out of Georgia, 998. Chase Basantis, 985. Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky, 969. Logan Taylor, Boston College, 955. Keelan Rutledge, 952. Emmanuel Pregnan, 942. Dylan Wade, 914. And that's all of them that fall in the nines. Then going down to 890 is Fernando Carmona. DJ Campbell is 849. Armaj Reed Adams is 818. Bo Stevens, 740. So historically speaking, it kind of cuts him off a little bit. Although I think Anthony Belton was in the sevens with his RAS. So maybe Goody wouldn't say no to Bo Stevens at the right pick, right? You got Evan Bierstand, is what we're going to refer to him as. 727 was his RAS as it sits right now. So we'll continue to monitor those. Now let's get to the center position. I'm excited about this, man. Who stood out? This Kentucky boy, Jager Burton, 993 is the RAS. Jake Slaughter, 991.
Do you want me to put Burton as center? Like, do you want me to put C in there and keep him at IOLs, but throw C in the middle, or what are we doing here?
Yeah. Put
Okay.
C. Yeah, keep him in IOL. Put a
dash C.
Yeah, dash C, and
Gotcha.
light him up blue if you don't care. That
You
way
got it.
it'll pop to us. So I love leaving those in the interior offensive line segment, but you got them stamped with the blue, so it just kind of screams, "Hey, take a look here!" Right?
Gotcha.
All right, Brian Parker, another one that checks the box, 976. When we talk about mock drafts we've done, Tim, what have we always looked at here, right? Jake Slaughter is the top of our list. I think he was at a 71 or a 76 is where he was ranked on our board. He ends up scoring a 991. Brian Parker's one that the Packers have already met with, I believe.
Yeah.
He was 82nd on our board. He scores a 976.
Yeah.
Pat Coogan would be next on our board, and he does not have an RAS complete yet, so maybe he'll come in a little bit higher than the others. But Logan Jones, 956, Parker Brailsford, 847, and Sam Hecht, 814. All these guys, Tim, they help themselves. But, man, I don't know about you. If we got to go with a rookie center, Jake Slaughter and Brian Parker, they seem like the two you need to go for, man.
I was just catching them on the mirror drills, and they both look really good. A lot of names that are kind of on our radar showing up in this top crop, right? I mean, even if you get to Connor Lew and Coogan, Sam Hecht we talked about, but I'm with you, man. I like Jake Slaughter, man. I really do.
Yeah.
Feel good about him, and Brian Parker too. I mean, time will tell, but certainly the formula is working, right? The board is coming together really nicely right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this segment. If you're watching this video back later, let us know in the comments. How do you feel about the offensive linemen? That's an early glance at their RAS scores from the NFL Scouting Combine. Let us know in the comments, which one would you prefer at center? Maybe you want to take a tackle and kick them to guard. Maybe you want to take a tackle and have them compete with Jordan Morgan at left tackle. Let us know in the comments. Hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon for us as well. All right, let's just continue this conversation as we wrap up here at the end, guys. I want to talk a little bit about what all this means in terms of the board. Emilio, you got the board pulled up right now, bud?
I do.
Okay. So I'll be able to ask you some questions here, and we'll kind of quick reference it. So Jake Slaughter, where is he at on our board right now? He was somewhere around the 70 mark in that range, right? Has he shifted up, down, sideways? How's he looking?
He has kind of just stayed the same there. Looks like he's settling in right now at 72. Overall, I'm excited to get the height, weight, all that in there once they finish up today. But he's got a 68.6, so we could get him, mid 60s for a final number there. That's not too bad. I think though you might get a couple centers going. I say maybe 2 or 3 centers might go off in the second round, especially when that guy asked DJ the question. It was a Lions reporter that had asked him the question about that, and potentially they go out and reach and get somebody in the first. But if not, you say, all right, we'll make sure that we do hit that in the second round, especially if they start coming off the boards. I see somebody, trading up to get there to make sure they get their one. Got
it. Makes sense. And the other one here, it was actually mentioned in the chat. Straight 6 Supra 915 says Connor Lew is exceptionally athletic as well, but Slaughter is great too. And the problem with Connor Lew is obviously the ACL. It's a guy that's not competing today. He's still recovering from the ACL, so that's going to drive his stock down a little bit. If Elgton Jenkins does return to Green Bay and he's your starting center, we talked about that rehab video where he's sporting all the Green Bay garb, and it looks like, hey, maybe there is a chance he comes back on a pay cut. What if you drafted Connor Lew and it's like a redshirt year, right? Mm-hmm. And you got Elgton another year at center, or who knows, maybe you move on from Elgton and you sign a 1 or a 2 year patch it. Is there a scenario where we could see the Packers potentially drafting Connor Lew? That's the big question. I hate the idea of 52 being a redshirt year, but I think I think it's reasonable to think that Connor Lew may dip pretty far in the draft, maybe 4th or 5th round pick because of the ACL. I don't know where he's being projected. Did y'all hear any conversation on Connor Lew? I'll start with you, Tim. Emilio, maybe you've heard it on some of the podcasts you've been listening to, but what do y'all think about Connor Lew, where he might go?
I think it's tough. I mean, 7 games last year, right? And then to your point, maybe you take a guy and it's kind of a redshirt year. However, if you got Big E in the fold and he's coming off an injury, what if he has a setback? Now we got 2 guys, you know what I mean, that are dealing with injuries and things, and one of them being a guy that you drafted knowing he had, an injury issue. So I'm kind of on the fence. But other than that, other than the injury, Connor Lew looks like a guy that fits the mold for sure as a developmental type of player. But I just don't know with a 7-game sample last year to really, make a judgment on that. I don't know. What do you think, Emilio?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. We have him 61 on the board, Tim, but like you said, in last year of 7 games, and then in 23, it looks like he was right around the same amount of snaps, 435. So it looks like his only full year he completed was 24, though he had a 75-7. That's tough. You'd ideally like someone that you can get right out there on the field, but if not, if you think he's the best center, 6'3", if we want size in there at center, whatever it is, I think we got kind of lucky that there is a lot of size in the centers this year. They're all about 6'3", 6'4", looking. So that's, looking at Josh Myers, that's something Goody might go after. But it's just, what's going to kind of fall.
I think if Connor Lew fell to the, 4th round for some reason.
Yeah. Trade up and get him. Be like an Evan Williams sort of thing. Yeah.
Definitely. Let's switch gears and talk a little wide receiver. Is that cool with you guys? Because they did the bench press today, and I want to point something out here. And we'll be real quick with this, but I think it's very, very interesting. Obviously, nobody sees bench press as like overly important for wide receivers. You want to be strong against the bump and run. Obviously, you want to be able to protect yourself there, right? But when you look at some of these, I want you to key in on Deion Burks. Emilio, find him on our board. Where is Deion Burks, wide receiver out of Oklahoma? Where do we have him ranked on our board? He ran a 4.30 40-yard dash, damn near a 4.2, right? Mm-hmm. Where's he at on our board right now?
Boy, Deion is 142 on the board. Wide receiver, kick returner. Oklahoma, he was at the Senior Bowl as well.
What brung him down on our board, do you feel like? What's the 1 or 2 things that really sticks out?
Really, the 3 things. 23, he was 488. 24, he was 416. And 25, he was 550. So we're probably not even considering the 23 and 24 grade. We have to consider the 550. What's helping him bring that down, it was a 90 on PFF's board and 115 on consensus. So pre-everything else, he had a 251 average. After we got in DJ, which had him at 46, and Tankathon had him at 90, he got a -5 RAS from us. That brings his average all the way down to 124. So it looks like, wasn't performing super well in season those 3 years, but everybody coming into the draft has liked him. DJ had him in his top 50 off the bat. Like that's
crazy.
That's big. He weighed in at 180, 29 and 3/8 inch arms. It's someone that you could get behind if you're looking for that.
Yeah. Looks like a mini cheetah, right?
Yeah.
So
here's what,
like, do we have a special teams on him? Like, what does he look like on teams?
It says we have him marked as a kick returner. Clay put him in there as a wide receiver.
Okay.
Kick returner.
See, now me like
one of
that
the
a little
one of
bit.
the top 10 kick returners in college football, Tim. Great
There we
question.
go.
So now the question is, where could you potentially get him? Here's what I want to point out. 4.3040, right? What do y'all see this? Bench press, 26 reps. Both him and Jordan Tyson did 26 reps of 225-pound bench press. So this dude is fast as lightning, stronger than a bull,
Yep.
right? He's a great kick returner.
Yep.
The only problem is, like Emilio said, the PFF grades were cheeks all 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Although
if
PFF's a little higher on them or on him. They got
Where they have him now?
94 on their board overall.
Okay.
is that 100?
Again, I got to check my Uber app and see if they can clear this up for me. But
You're such a smart ass. Emilio, where was he before on PFF?
90th.
Okay, so we don't touch it, right? We're good. All right.
But
It's
no,
gonna be really-
that's a and you know what? When I was listening to DJ, he was saying, yeah, speed is great. It's it's nice to have if you want a long, thin frame, whatever. But he said once it gets down to the nitty gritty, you think about Puka, you think about guys like that. You need to be able to. You want to create separation, obviously, but you're going to have to at some point catch a contested ball. You're going to have to go through somebody to catch the ball. You're going to need to be able to size speed to convert that. And that's where I think he's starting to kind of just change maybe his take on some wide receivers a little bit. You want them physically able to handle a contested catch, physically able to, get in position, box them out. You saw some of those. I mean, there's a lot of big wide receivers this year. There's a lot of 6'3 plus, 6'2, 6'3, 6'4s. So you get a couple of guys down there go and get a rebound basically, and you get them out there a wide receiver. I'm all for that. It's like me in college football, Clay. I used to always go after the speedsters. You know what I mean? Recruit the speedster. I found the contested catch specialists. They're basically running the same exact speed. They're still in the 90s. I'll take that all day long.
I believe it. You know what I like? I like those guys that can move side to side. If they've got that, what's the juke weapon called
Shifty.
on that? What is it? Shifty?
50. Yeah, with a little joystick emblem.
Man, give me a little bubble screen on the outside.
Oh boy,
it's on like a neck on, baby. So Deion Burks also though, 42.5-inch vertical. What's hurt his RAS? His RAS is good. Don't get me wrong. His RAS is God. I just had it. Where'd it
he
go?
had a -5 on the board.
Yeah. No, it's a 9.52. But how in the hell did he not score upwards of a 10 here? You know what I'm saying? Because
got to be his height and weight.
I was just going to say, is that what's pulling him down?
Yeah.
But I'm going to look right now. I'm going to be able to tell you right now. I'm going to click off screen here. Denzel Burks, the link. So his RAS card, as it sits right now, 9.52. Yes, composite size grade is very poor. Very poor. All right. Height 5'9". So that scored a 2. His weight 180 pounds. That scored a 2.
Wow.
Bench press. How the hell are you 5'9", 180 and throwing up 26 reps? Can somebody help me?
Damn, with a damn near 43-inch vert. Let's go,
crazy, dude.
Yeah, and it's not like he has crazy short arms, 29 and 3/8. You're not just dropping the bar down and bouncing it off the chest there. You're gonna have to rep that.
Yep.
You may, Emilio, I don't mean this in a mean way at all, and I'm probably off base here. Okay,
I'm already taking it mean way.
You may be too young to remember a guy named, I think his name was Dante Hall for the Chiefs. Return.
Yeah. Okay. Corner.
Human joystick. I thought he was a receiver.
No, he was a receiver. No, you're right.
He was just a kick return. Man, unbelievable.
Yes, I remember. Yep.
And I remember him being smaller in stature. You know what I'm saying? So who knows, man? Maybe we're looking up in 3 years and going, damn, Deion Burks is a weapon in the return game, right?
If you can play big, you can eat big, right? It doesn't matter what your build is.
Let's see what the broad jump was. So he dropped a little bit there, 10'11", not horrible, right? But obviously not the best. 3-cone, did he have much agility? Must not have did the 3-cone. So we don't have.
You know who I also like? Bryce Lance with his numbers. I see Goody taking a peek there too. I'm not kidding.
Yep. There was a big argument on that earlier on Twitter. Surprise, right?
Oh boy!
And people were like, "Hey, no way you should draft a receiver." And it's like, you do realize there's only 2 receivers under contract right now in 2027. Like, if you think there's not a sneaky need for a receiver to work into the fold like we just did with Savion Williams and Matthew Golden. Because, again, man, you can't keep all these guys. Hopefully they keep Christian Watson. I hope they keep Jaden Reed, right? So if you keep those two, and then you've got Matthew Golden and Savion Williams, there's going to be probably 2 more spots on the roster, right, Tim?
Yeah.
Like,
Especially knowing that, Rome's as good as gone, right? So you've got to think about that. And then you talk about special teams ability, right? Rome had to pick up the slack for us in the return game last year. You got that guy out of the room. Savion Williams is a guy that I'd like to see back there maybe on occasion, but what is your game plan going forward? Because I agree with you, Clay. I think Scoot and Bird are, they're your locks. And then, we're going to continue to go forward with, Matthew Golden's development and things like that. But I don't think it's off base at all to think you could snatch up a receiver in this draft to kind of round out your room.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. For sure. I love what J. Cole says. Not saying that he does this, but in my old neighborhood, we call that crackhead strength.
Must be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff.
I'm not gonna lie, I was faded. I ain't gonna lie, I was faded. Like,
that's a great combo. We had Lance 6'3", 204, 32 and an eighth inch arms, ran a 4.34. I feel like any wide receiver with a 4.3 over 6 foot, Goody has an asterisk next to.
He's a grown ass man now. And
thanks, Coach. Let's see here. Janice in the chat says Matt Gulbin is not participating in on-field drills at the 2026 Scouting Combine due to an injury sustained at the end of the season. That's someone that we've talked a lot about. Janice mentioned Matt Gulbin, and obviously we added him to the board, and he was pretty high on the board, so it sounds like we need to light him up red potentially. Emilio, I know you stepped away, but we'll make a note and make sure that we make it. Matt Gulbin, the center. Remember, we worked him into the board the other day, and we're like, holy cow, this guy looked pretty good.
Michigan State,
evidently he's not participating. According to Janice here, he's not participating because an injury sustained at the end of the season. So I would just light that up red instead of pink, meaning for RAS he's hurt, and then maybe 2025 stamp him with a red just to kind of, not his name, but just the box. We'll make a decision on whether or not he should drop or not. So, going to be very, very interesting to see how everything shakes out here, man. And again, Deion Burks, I know there's people saying, no way do we better not take a receiver. Keep that same energy when we get to November next season and everybody's pissed that the special teams isn't better, right? These are the type of people that you need to spend a draft pick on. These are the type of guys that you need to spend money on in free agency if you want your special teams to get better in terms of the return game and other aspects. You got to be willing to invest there, I agree. I don't like the idea of drafting a receiver, but if one falls in your lap that can help you on special teams, like potentially a Deion Burks. Again, man, 146 on our board when I took it down, and he was listed as one of the top 10 kick returners in the nation. Another one people have talked about, and we'll hit it real quick and wrap up, is Weegan. I think I've seen Weegan on this list. Yeah, so Caden Weegan out of Iowa, another great kick returner. He's on our board. Now, we had him at 413, so he was significantly lower on our board, but one of the best kickoff return guys in the league. I want to say he was a punt returner too. I could be wrong, but he ran a 4.47. And you know who I think
similar
of?
body type too, right? 5'9", 190, something like that. Yeah.
5'9", 193, 29 and 5/8.
Yep. And when I see Weegan and I see that 4.47, my mind immediately goes to Randall Cobb. He ran a 4.4, right?
Yeah.
I remember correctly, it was like a 4.45 or a 4.47, something like that. So again, a 4.4, not horrible there, but he's great in space. I would imagine his 10-yard split might be decent for how small he is. Maybe not. Let's see here. Where's our boy? He's actually at the bottom, 158. So not so much with the 10-yard split. I wonder what his agility and everything look like. 3-cone. There you go. 6.95. So really good, really agile, moving in space, right? And probably making guys mix. The shuttle, 20-yard shuttle, there's just a handful of guys that did it. He did a 4.44 there. Did he do bench press? I'm eager to see. He did not bench. Okay, I don't blame him, little guy. Broad jump, Weegan, not much explosion there, right? So it really what you're getting in Weegan is lateral agility, right? Lateral explosion, lateral agility. So
Soder in the chat saying he's punt and kick returner though, so that's good. Some guys are return specialists, but they're kind of one dimensional. Here's a guy who can do both. Yep.
Yeah, great. Appreciate that. Thank you, Soder, for that information. Emilio, you got anything else you want to hit before we wrap up, man? Anything else you want to see here? Any information you're lacking that you might need to take a peek at?
No, I just look. Sneaky need for wide receivers is feel like it's something you just got to keep in mind there. Chris Braswell, 6'4", ran a 4.37. Bryce Lance, 6'3", ran a 4.34. Deshaun Stribling, 6'2", ran a 4.36. A lot of tall dudes running fast there. We had who else? There was one other here. Jeff Caldwell out of Cincy, 6'5", 216. He ran a 4.31. Okay. I wouldn't be opposed if Goody finds something that he likes. Caleb Douglas out of Texas Tech, 6'3.5", 200 pound, 206, ran a 4.39. Anybody with 4.3 over 6 foot, I think you got to keep an eye out for.
And it looks like
his receiving is tough.
That was perfect. It looks like this receiving stuff. Chris Braswell, I was trying to pull his RAS card here real quick. So it's incomplete. All right. But this is what Emilio's talking about. I'll throw it on screen real quick. He's out of Tennessee. Are we showing a 5? I thought I gave him a 5-point bonus, or did I not for Braswell?
No, he doesn't have one on there.
Yeah. All right. So here's his card currently. 6'4", 198 pounds, ran a 4.3740. I mean, you're talking about a dude, Christian Watson is what we're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. He's built like Christian Watson. Actually, a little bit thicker than Christian Watson probably was coming in. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe Braswell's a little slimmer. But
coming off the best season of his college career, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and playing down here in the SEC. Again, he's one of those guys, Malachi Fields doesn't have the speed he has, but he's great at contested catches, right? You look at Braswell, he's got that take the top off speed, but is he as good at Malachi Fields' contested catches? Probably not. He should be at 6'4". But again, just somebody to kind of keep an eye on there as well. I'm eager to see where he ends up being drafted too. So, all right, boys, I think we covered everything, man. Anything else? We good?
I think we're good.
All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up there, gang. Appreciate everybody jumping in there and hanging out with us. You guys are awesome. If you would, smash that like button for us. We greatly appreciate it. We're going to be back live in the morning, and we'll kind of reset everything with some of the RASs and talk a little O-line and get ready for the bench press as the combine's going to wrap up, obviously, tomorrow. And then it's going to be get all this information in our draft board. Emilio, you posted a link in the draft board earlier in our Patreon group, right?
So once I get the rest of the O-line in tonight, I'll put a new one in there with the height, weights, and stuff. It's just easier for me to have every tab open to everybody in Patreon. I'm closing them and moving them and reorganizing them all the time, so I just didn't want y'all to have to deal with me being all over the place with it. So I got you your own link.
I'll do a quick cross-check, too, for the wide receivers because I put that information in early. We had the bench press come in, so if something changed, we'll get the proper RAS bonus in. And then we'll wait until after the bench press tomorrow and all that stuff's finalized with the O-line. We'll get the RASs there. So, Again, you guys have the link. If you want access to that, you can find that at patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. Again, $3 get you access to everything, including your own copy of our draft board. You can just click on it at any time, check it out. And obviously, we got the chats going on over there. I'll continue to put out articles as the top 30 visits roll in, and we get confirmation from Easton Butler and others on some of these visits with the Packers at the Combine. We'll get more cheese emojis put up. He hasn't updated his spreadsheet, so I'm a little hesitant on firing these out there until we get kind of double and triple confirmation.
That's fair. And just to get this to Rodney before we leave, man, where's Vinny Anthony? We have him 438th on the board. Wide receiver, kick returner out of Wisconsin. He was at the Senior Bowl. Packers have met with him. 6 foot 183, 31 1/8, 4.54, and he's got the -1 RAS. So undrafted, late round kind of guy. If that's where we're looking.
PFF's higher on him, 239 on their board right now.
Right. I was trying to see too if I can pull his.
What'd you say, Tim? 239.
239. Vinny.
Yeah, well, we had him at 375. So let's up our boy here. So 239.
Got it, man.
So he's going to jump up to 307 on PFF after we average that out, and that will bring him up to one more sort. Our boy Vinny is now in the 419 spot. So he's
a couple spots. He moved up.
We'll take it. Priority free agent, something like that.
Yep. And again, he is one of those guys that we listed as you might be able to get him undrafted or extremely late in the draft and potentially pick up a good kick returner. Here's his RAS card. It's pretty much complete, I think, other than the broad jump. The size, obviously poor there at 6 foot 183. 20 reps on the bench, not bad there. That scored out in the green, actually. Vertical jump only 34.5. 40-yard dash was 4.54. Although the composite speed grade did come out to good, right? He had a 4.54 40, and it looked like that was a pretty balanced 40. The 10-yard split was a 1.59, scoring a 5.90. But the agility grade is great, and which explains why he's a good kick returner, right? You had a shuttle of 4.07 and a 3-cone of 6.86. So that's your Vinny Anthony update here on PTA. So, all right. Appreciate everybody hanging out. If y'all would smash that like button for us, hit subscribe, click the bell icon. Also, we are now wherever you find your podcast, just look for Packers Total Access, Packer Fan Total Access. Even if you just watch on YouTube and you want to help us out, just wherever you get your podcast, search Packers Total Access and find us. You'll see it's one of the newer ones. There'll be less episodes uploaded there. There's one out there floating that's got one upload. Obviously, that's not us. We go live, I don't know, multiple times a day, so we got more than that. I need to get that one deleted somehow, some way. But, again, you'll be able to find us wherever you get your podcast. So just make sure you guys give us a follow there. Everybody in the chat, you guys were awesome. Tim, Emilio, appreciate your time. We will be back tomorrow. My name's Clayton. That's Tim. That's Emilio. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
Here we go. We're out. Bye, guys.